All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into, well, some pretty surprising news, actually. It's about the electric vehicle world, specifically Tesla.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we've got this article from, let me see, Metallarari.com. It's, I think, an Italian investment news website,
Okay.
and it came out February 16th, 2025. The title is pretty dramatic. Tesla's sales collapse. Why is the EV giant in decline? Which, you think with electric vehicles being like the thing right now,
Mhm.
Tesla would be, riding that wave. But looking at the numbers, it's a bit of a different story.
Yeah, it really seems like things have shifted pretty dramatically for them. The article points out that their deliveries actually dropped by double digits in 2024.
Wow.
And this was during a time when, the global EV market was still growing. So it's not like demand dried up overall. It's something specific to Tesla.
So what's going on? What's the article point to?
Well, they dig into some data from the California New Car Dealers Association. They're a big source for tracking car sales trends. And the CNCDA's numbers show this pretty worrying trend for Tesla. Registrations were down 7.8% just in the last quarter of 2024, which led to an overall drop of 11.6% for the whole year.
Oh, wow.
And get this, it wasn't just a one-off bad quarter. This was the fifth consecutive quarter where they saw a decline.
Huh. Yeah, so something's up.
Right.
Well, the article gets into a lot of potential reasons, but the one that kind of jumped out at me was this idea of the Elon Musk effect.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Like his actions, particularly since that whole thing with him buying Twitter, maybe turning off some buyers.
It's a really interesting angle because,
Yeah.
for a long time, Tesla was like the symbol of innovation. People wanted to be seen in one. It was almost a status symbol for eco-conscious drivers.
Right.
But now with Musk's, very vocal and very diverse opinions, it seems like that sort of aspirational image has lost its shine for some people.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're connecting the Tesla brand with all the controversy that swirls around Musk, and that's impacting how they feel about buying their cars.
It's amazing how much a CEO's personal brand, especially in the tech world, can really get tied up with a company's image, isn't it? It's almost impossible to separate the two these days.
Definitely.
And, the article really hits hard on this point. In today's market, just having incredible technology isn't enough. Public perception, it matters a lot. And having a CEO who, really clicks with your target audience, that matters too.
Absolutely. I mean, the article argues that Tesla needs to do some serious damage control at this point, rebuild that connection with their customers, regain the trust that they've lost with, the folks who have been put off by all the stuff surrounding Musk. And that's going to take a lot more than just releasing some fancy new model or tweaking features.
Right.
It's about addressing how the whole brand is perceived, the big picture.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So they're at this sort of crossroads. They've got the tech, no doubt. But can they recapture that, that magic they had, that brand image? And can they navigate this new world where, like, a CEO's tweets can send shockwaves through the market?
Yeah, it's a really tricky situation. The article lays it out pretty clearly. Tesla's up against a challenge that goes beyond just, what their sales numbers look like this quarter. They have to find a way to balance their technological edge with, well, how the public sees them. And I mean, for any company, that's a difficult balancing act. But for a company with a leader as, let's say, prominent as Elon Musk, it's even tougher.
It really shows you how technology, business, and social issues are all, like, tangled up together these days. It's a complicated landscape.
It really is. The article does actually offer like a potential path forward for Tesla, and it might seem kind of counterintuitive, given all the stuff about Musk and public perception.
Oh, that's interesting. So what do they say?
Well, they basically emphasize that even with everything going on, Tesla is still like the tech leader when it comes to EVs. I mean, they've got a whole lineup of really innovative cars, and their engineering is really well respected. That core strength, it's still there.
So how do they get from, like, the tech being so good to the brand image being kind of shaky? It's like they've got, I don't know, Ferrari engine, but a flat tire.
Yeah, exactly. And the article suggests that what they need to do is shift the focus back to where they started, remind people what made Tesla so exciting in the first place, like re-emphasize that commitment to sustainability, to performance, to really pushing the boundaries of what EVs can do. It's all about getting back to those core values, the things that made them stand out.
Right, yeah, like, hey, we're not just about hype. We're about building the future of transportation.
Exactly, tap back into that sense of purpose. But, it's not just about the messaging. They've got to keep showing how their tech is evolving. You can't just like rest on your laurels. They need to prove that they're still innovating, still at the forefront of the EV
So
space.
it's like double down on what they're best at, building incredible electric cars, and make sure everyone knows that that's still what drives them.
Exactly. But, the article also acknowledges the elephant in the room
Yeah.
that they need to find a way to like separate the Tesla brand from all the controversy around Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's a tough one. He's been so, integral to their identity, to who they are. How do you even begin to, untangle that without kind of erasing the fact that he's been the driving force behind their success?
It's going to be a delicate balancing act for sure. They have to acknowledge the concerns that people have, but at the same time, they need to reaffirm what the company's all about, their core mission and values.
Yeah.
It's like reassuring customers that even if they have issues with, Musk's personal views, they can still believe in the Tesla brand and what it stands for.
Right, right. Like, we hear you, we get it, but let's focus on what we have in common. Building a sustainable future with incredible tech.
Exactly. Create a bit of distance without pretending Musk isn't a part of it. It's definitely complicated. But
Yeah.
one thing is clear. Tesla needs to act, and act fast. Because, the more time passes, the harder it'll be to get back what they've lost. This isn't just about, like, quarterly reports. It's about whether the company can survive in the long run.
This deep dive has really shown me how much tech, business, and social issues are all intertwined these days. Tesla's going through stuff that's way beyond just the normal ups and downs of the market.
Definitely. It shows you how even companies that are super innovative can trip up if they don't adapt. And it also highlights how important it is to have a strong brand, a leader who people connect with, and a real genuine relationship with your customers. Whether Tesla can make it through all this, well, that's still up in the air.
Yeah, it's a story that's still unfolding. And what happens to them has implications for the whole tech industry, doesn't it? What can other companies learn from this, especially when they're trying to find their place in a world where what consumers want is constantly changing?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, Tesla's situation is like a case study in what can happen when a company loses touch with its audience, even if they're making amazing products. It reminds us that success takes more than just a great product. You need to understand how the market works today, and you need to respond in a way that builds trust and makes people feel like you get them. It's interesting when you think about this whole Tesla thing, it's kind of like a bigger issue than just them.
What do you mean?
Well, the challenges they're facing, it's not just an electric vehicle thing. We're seeing a lot of this same stuff play out in other industries, like anywhere where technology, public image, and, social values are all kind of bumping into each other.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's like social media companies, big tech firms,
Yeah.
even just regular consumer brands.
Yeah.
They're all wrestling with these same questions.
Right.
How do you manage your brand when everyone's watching every little thing you do? How do you deal with all the political division and keep people's trust when consumers are, way more skeptical than they used to be?
It's like the rules of the game are changing right in front of us, and the stakes are higher than ever. You make one wrong move, and boom, you lose millions, your reputation shot, and you alienate your customers. It's a lot to deal with.
It's a lot of pressure for companies to handle, especially when everything's moving so fast.
And it makes you realize that, business decisions today, they don't just affect the bottom line. Companies have a lot of influence, and what they do has a ripple effect on, all of society.
So taking Tesla as, a cautionary tale,
Yeah.
what can other companies learn from what they're going through? How can they avoid making those same mistakes?
Well, I think a few things stand out. First off, you need a brand that's strong enough to handle whatever gets thrown at it, A brand built on solid values and a real connection with your audience. Second, you got to be clear and consistent with how you communicate. Address people's concerns directly, and don't be afraid to, build that trust. And finally, I think it's important to remember that leadership really matters. What a CEO does can literally make or break a company.
That's a lot to juggle, but it sounds like it's crucial for companies if they want to stay ahead of the game.
Absolutely. And it's not just about avoiding the bad stuff. Companies have a real chance to do some good with their position,
Like what?
like supporting sustainability, promoting diversity, pushing for policies that benefit everyone, things like that.
It's like going beyond just making money and thinking about the bigger picture of, what it means to be a good company.
Exactly. And I think we're seeing people expect more from the companies they support.
Right. It's like this new era of corporate responsibility where being ethical and making a positive impact are just as important as profits.
You got it. And that's changing how we think about business leadership. Sustainability, social justice, ethical behavior, they're not just buzzwords anymore. They're essential parts of a successful strategy.
Yeah, this whole Tesla thing really shows how connected everything is. The choices we make as consumers, investors, citizens, they all shape the future of business and, like, the world we live in.
So let's try to use that power wisely and work together to build a future that's good for everyone, More sustainable, more equitable, more beneficial all around.
I'd like that. Well, this deep dive into Tesla's decline has been a wild ride. We've covered a lot, from the ups and downs of the EV market, to the challenges of leadership in today's world, to the bigger questions facing all businesses in the 21st century. It's a story that definitely leaves us with more questions than answers. But I think it gives us a new appreciation for the power of innovation, the importance of ethical leadership, and the need for businesses to think beyond just the bottom line. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time for another exploration of the big ideas shaping our world.